Not every conversation needs to be loud. Not every disagreement needs to become hostile. And not every man is interested in spectacle. The society of ordinary gentlemen exists for those who believe that courtesy still matters, that restraint is a strength, and that how one conducts himself, especially when it is inconvenient, is a measure of character. This is not a platform for self-promotion. It is a place for thoughtful discussion, mutual respect, and personal accountability. The Society of Ordinary Gentlemen is an online community with the mission of cultivating modern gentlemen by teaching skills, habits, and mindsets that elevate personal style, communication, health, and lifestyle through community, courses, and mentorship. Membership is open to adults willing to uphold these standards.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Forum. My name is Anthony Buntyn, and I am the host of the Gentleman's Forum that is sponsored by the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen and also by Carolina Best, a fragrance company that is out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, and they have some tremendous colognes and perfumes for men and ladies, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But right now, I want to get into the essence of the Gentleman's Forum because we are in a time right now we need strong gentlemen. We are in a time of basically a time of crisis. Let's be real about this is, our society has gone from men that were intent, dedicated, to men that are self-centered and have a sense of entitlement in society. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this about everybody, and I'm not trying to categorize everybody, and I'm not trying to demean anybody, but we are in a epidemic right now in our society of men that need to step up as gentlemen. The gentleman is becoming an endangered species, and this is something that we really need to get into. And I apologize that I started a series on the art of speaking like a gentleman, and I had some unexpected family emergency that I had to get taken care of. But we're getting ready to get back into the art of speaking as a gentleman. But today I want to dive into this aspect of being a gentleman because I see this happening more and more frequently, and it's becoming more and more prevalent that the gentleman is becoming an endangered species. And I say that because men have stopped being gentlemen. So many aspects of this, and we need to get back to the basics of chivalry, of morals, of standards. This is something that has transpired. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. It's a slow process. There's an old adage that if you put a frog in boiling water, it's going to jump right out immediately. But if you put a frog in water and slowly heat it up, it'll literally boil itself to death. And this is what's happened. We have literally boiled the quality of being a gentleman out of men. And it is my prayer, my goal, my desire to help reintroduce the gentleman qualities in today's world. This is the great thing about it is that it's not just me. There are several other people that are out here, whether it's on YouTube or school or whatever, that are gentlemen, and they are helping trying to reestablish being gentlemen again. And I commend them for that. And I hope that we can all participate and come together as gentlemen and create a role model for men to follow, especially our young men. We are seeing so many things happening nowadays. And one of the biggest things that I see that's happening right now is the lack of role models for our young men to look up to. Now, I'm not talking about the athletes or the actors or the singers. I'm talking about the real modern day gentlemen. Please don't get me wrong. There are some great actors out there that are gentlemen. There are some great athletes out there that are gentlemen. I'm not talking about that because the reason why I say this is because even though these men that are actors and athletes and singers, they demonstrate gentleman qualities and stuff. The problem with this is our young people are not looking at those individuals as gentlemen. They're looking at them as actors. They're looking at them as athletes. They're looking at them as singers. So what they're looking at and what they're seeing is a famous, wealthy person that has fame and fortune. And so they're not focusing on the qualities of that man. What they're focusing on is the fame and the fortune. And so, again, not knocking actors and actresses and singers that are gentlemen. What I'm saying is that we don't have enough of the men out here in everyday life that our young people see. We're not seeing the garbage man that works for Department of Sanitation as a gentleman. We're not seeing the store clerk acting as a gentleman. We're not seeing the office person working as being a gentleman. We're not seeing the cashier, the customer service representative at a store acting as a gentleman. And so what they're seeing and what they're focusing on is the fame and fortune. And yes, it is nice to have fame and fortune, but that is not what the basis of being a gentleman is, and that's not the qualities of what a gentleman needs to be. And so it's my desire and my prayer, the men that are out here doing this and that are living as gentlemen will step up and become more visible, and it's not being in the shadows. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be a person in the background, but we are in a crisis situation in our society right now because we are lacking men who are representing being a gentleman. One thing that I do like is the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, and this is a society that is built and formed by a group of men that have got together, have come together, and have created a society that is governed by a board of directors. They have a constitution. It is not here to police people. It's not here to make money off of, because the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen is a free society. They operate off the donations of members. And let's be real, it does. It takes money to do these things. It takes money to have a website. It takes money to have the school society. It takes money to even the podcast I'm doing. It's not free. I'm financing this podcast, and I'm also financing the Gentlemen of Faith podcast. And I'm not saying that to brag. What I'm saying is, yes, it does cost to host these things and to do these things. But the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen is a society that encourages the conduct of gentlemen and promotes gentlemen. It is their goal to help encourage and guide men on the journey of being a gentleman. This is not something that being a gentleman that you get to a certain level and you stop. This is a life commitment. It's a way that we live. It's a way we conduct ourselves on a day-to-day basis, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It is what we do. It is how we live our lives. And it is great because there are so many people out here that are looking for a place where they can grow and learn and get back into the basics. I shared my testimony before. I grew up in a Christian home. I grew up, father was a officer in the Air Force. He was a minister, so he was an officer and a gentleman. And my grandfathers and my uncles, all were great gentlemen. They raised and taught all of us how to be gentlemen. Now, yes, I grew up like that, and I did not take it serious. I'll be the first one to admit. Well, as soon as I got old enough, I wanted to get out and reinvent myself, find myself, and do the things that I wanted to do, things that I saw other people do. And in the process, I got away from the foundation that my parents had raised me on being a gentleman. And one thing about being raised and raising children is the fact that if you raise a young man or a young lady to be a lady or to be a young man, yes, as they get older, they might want to go out and what we quote unquote sow their oats or find themselves. But there will come a time when they are going to realize that what they're doing is not working. And so, therefore, at least you have put that foundation in their lives to where they know where to go to get back on track. And this is what happened to me. I was raised as a gentleman, didn't take it seriously. Yes, I listened. I did certain things to appease my parents and my uncles and grandfathers and things. But as I got older and I wanted to get out and try to find myself, if you will, I got away from this stuff. And as I got older, I started realizing that people were not seeing me the way I wanted them to see me. And I knew right then that I had to make a change. So when I decided to get back into the basics of being a gentleman, and I started looking online and started reading about things and started this journey of being a gentleman now, it has totally changed my life. And as it changed my life, it has also giving me an incentive to want to help other people, especially our young men, to become gentlemen. So the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen was created for this same purpose, was to help establish and to groom, to encourage, to help men along the way on this journey being a gentleman. And we need this nowadays. We are at a crisis because gentlemen are becoming a endangered species. They are becoming extinct because so many men out here nowadays have become entitled and self-centered, and it's all about them. And they have this attitude that they don't care what other people think. They don't care how other people look at them. And in the essence of doing all this, it is affecting our society as a worldwide whole. And this is why we're seeing, violent crime. This is why we're seeing men that are being incarcerated because they are not articulating and dealing with situations that cause them to resort to violence, and they're not having the discipline to go out and get a job, much less hold a job, and therefore they rely on other people to make money and to have things so they can go in and take and pilferage and steal from other people. And this has become a epidemic now in our society where the gentleman has become an extinct and endangered species. And I want us to start building a society that promotes and educates. And this is what I love about the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, because this is exactly what they do. They encourage and they promote the lifestyle of being a gentleman. And even to the point where they are getting ready to launch the Junior Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, which is going to be for young men ages 14 to 18 to help groom them into becoming gentlemen. So that way, when they graduate high school and they start getting out to the workforce, they have the skills to apply for jobs, how to dress for jobs, how to handle situations, especially when it comes to dealing with confrontations and things that don't result in violence. So I want to encourage you today that this podcast, the Gentleman's Forum, and the other podcasts I do, the Gentleman of Faith podcast. One is for faith based, for those who have a faith, and the Gentleman of Faith Forum. And this is a Gentleman's Platform, which is the Gentleman's Forum, which is a platform that helps promote being a gentleman. Both of these together, they're basically the same and they accomplish the same goal. I just felt that there's some people will relate to the Gentleman's Forum and some people will relate to the Gentleman of Faith Forum. But the reality is they are both based on the same criterias of creating gentlemen. And this is something that we need. This is something that I feel is a necessity for the survival of the human race. We have got to get back to the basics of being gentlemen. And part of this of being the basis of being gentlemen is taking on that responsibility and being head of our households, being leaders in our communities, being leaders in our politics and every aspect of the day-to-day life as humans that we deal with. And the more of us that are out here doing this, the more we bring awareness to, the more that we can educate, we can recruit, we can build a platform that will send a message out and encourage men to get back to the basic of being gentlemen. I promise you, when we start doing this, we will see less violence. We will see less starts of wars and confrontations. We'll see men that will come together and iron out their differences or even agree to disagree. All this is going to be based on how we handle and how we deal with our everyday lives as gentlemen. And this is something that has become so dire right now that we have to. Many of you that are listening and are watching on this podcast, we all heard about the Kamal Anthony case, the young student out of Texas that ended the life of another classmate or another student at a track meet, and he is now, sentenced to decades in prison for the taking of a life of another young man. And it's all over words and it's all over feelings and it's all over trying to be something that they're not and trying to prove something that they don't have to be. We have got to stop this. We have got to get back to the basics. It has nothing to do with what you wear. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. I have seen some of the most great men that are true gentlemen and that are living on the streets, and they have nothing. And I have run into them, I've talked to them, and they were so polite and so well spoken. Yes, they fall on hard times, but that did not change how they were raised. That did not change who they are as a gentleman. And if somebody that's that down on their luck can be cordial, can be friendly, can be polite, then you got men out here that are making fistful of money hand over hand and are acting like imbeciles. They're acting like barbaric people, and there's no sense in this. And we have got to get back to the basics of being gentlemen, and it starts right here. And the mere fact that you are listening to this podcast lets me know right now that you understand where I'm coming from and you see the problem. And therefore, the fact that you're still listening lets me know that you have it in the back of your mind that this is correct and that there is something that you can do. There's something that we all can do. And it doesn't take money. It doesn't take fame. All it takes is for people to come together and to start respecting one another and to start treating one another with dignity. And it starts with having respect for yourself. Having respect for yourself is going to be a monumental aspect of this journey. And I know I went from growing up as a young man in a good home, raised good, and I got out, wanted to do my own thing, and went into the military, then started working around law enforcement. Then even went as far as riding a motorcycle and becoming a part of a Christian motorcycle group. And interesting, I was part of a motorcycle group, but it was a Christian motorcycle group because in the back of my mind, I still have those basic foundations that my parents instilled in me growing up, which led me to not just joining a motorcycle club, but a Christian motorcycle club. I could have joined, one of the 1% motorcycle clubs, but I ended up joining a Christian motorcycle club. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please don't get me wrong. It was great. I loved it. But one thing it was for me was it wasn't me. And the more I tried and the more I dove into it and the more I put into it, yes, it was fun. But it wasn't me. I can tell it wasn't me. I can feel that it wasn't me. And I was at the point where I just felt like I was just going through the motions. People weren't seeing me for what I wanted them to see me as. So therefore, one day I sat down and I started figuring it out. I was working, had my own business, had a family. Yes, I went through a previous marriage before, and things were okay, but they weren't where I wanted it to be, and I couldn't figure out why, which led me to start reevaluating and looking at myself and looking at myself from the outside looking in instead of from the inside looking out. And then I started seeing that this is not the person that I was raised to be. This is not the person that I was looking for and searching for. And so I knew I had to do something. I had to go back to basics, the basic training. And I'm not talking about basic training that the military had for me or basic training that law enforcement had for me. I'm talking about the basic training that my parents raised me in. And so I decided to get on this journey, and I had the basics in my mind, but wasn't quite sure how to go about doing it. So I got on the internet, started looking around. I found a couple of sites, that led me to starting to dress like a gentleman. And then I found another site that helped me to find clothing and stuff, but it still did not bring me to the basic of what I was looking for, and that is not just how to look like a gentleman, but how to be a gentleman. And then that's when I came across the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. And I knew from the time when I clicked on there through the school app and I saw the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, I clicked on it, and you couldn't just walk in and just join. They had a couple questions they asked you, and the questions they asked were deep, thoughtful question. They didn't just want a one-word answer. They wanted to know what made you want to come there, and why do you want to be a gentleman, and what type of role model you think represents a gentleman. And these questions, at first I thought were kind of strange, but then I realized that what they were doing is they wanted to find out how serious was I about wanting to be a gentleman. And so I knew right then that this is something that I wanted to be a part of. And so as I got into it and I got into the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, started looking around, started meeting different men and stuff, and it was phenomenal. And I started learning, I started growing, and it made me want to start changing things, changing my appearance, changing how I talk, changing how I look, changing how I handle situations. I'm telling you, this society and some of the other groups that I've become a part of has helped me on my journey tremendously. I'm a member of Real Man, Real Style. They deal a lot with fashion and clothing and stuff, and that helped me a lot. I used to live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I came across Carolina Best. They are a designer fragrance company, and as my change in wanting to be a gentleman, I wanted to learn about fragrances and stuff. So listening to Real Man, Real Style, some other places, and finding out about fragrance stuff, I went to Carolina Best and I started looking at some of the most popular colognes. The prices that they sell is just phenomenal, and that helped me on my journey. So now I had how to look good, I had how to smell nice, but I was still missing that foundation. Then when I got into the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, it was like bringing it around full circle, and I started learning about how to talk like a gentleman, how to carry myself like a gentleman. So all these things together started building, and what you see now right in front of you, for those that are watching, you are seeing a product of a 4-year progression of in myself and being redefined and restructured to become the gentleman I am now. I've learned so much about style, about fragrances, about respecting yourself and respecting others, and how to handle situations, how to talk. All this played a huge part in helping me become the gentleman I am now. And I am so thankful for those that are members of Society of the Gentleman, Real Man, Real Style, Carolina Best, and all these people that have been instrumental in my journey on this path of being a gentleman. And this is where it starts, and this is where we need to be. This is how we get to where we are in making a foundation. And I want to encourage you that if you are interested in being a gentleman, if you're interested, and I'm not talking about being a gentleman that you have to wear a 3-piece suit. I'm not talking about being a gentleman that you have to go out and spend $400 for a small bottle of cologne. I'm not talking about if you want to be a gentleman, you have to have a custom suit or anything. I'm talking about if you want to learn the basic, you want people to respect you for you. You want people to see the best version of you. It starts right here. And I promise you, the Gentleman's Forum, the Gentleman of Faith podcast is just the beginning. The Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, if you're interested, go to www.beagentleman.org, or you can go onto the School app, SKOOL. Look on the internet, you'll see there's an app for that. Click on there, go look for Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. And either way, whether you go through the website, where you go through it, or on this podcast, this is where you start. This is where you start building that foundation of being a gentleman. This is where you start going. And I'm telling you, the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, they have some men on there that are phenomenal. They have a wealth of knowledge. They have been on this journey for a while. And the great thing about it is they got some men on there that just started, and they can share their experiences with you. The older gentlemen that's been on this journey for a while, they have a wealth of knowledge to help you. And all these men are anxious to help you grow to be the best version of you as a gentleman that you can. I'm telling you, I've learned so much from these gentlemen. I've grown over the past 5 years. This would be my year and a half of being with the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. I started off as just a member, and I got into it, really enjoyed it, started learning, started being active in it, and next thing I know, they offered me a position of the managing director for Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. I'm telling you guys, they are phenomenal. They even have live lounge meetings once a week on Sundays, and they're going to add a couple more during the week, where you can get online and physically meet and talk to men around the world that are part of the society. This is not a Facebook fan page. This is not a college fraternity or anything. This is an actual society of gentlemen. These are men that are living as gentlemen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They are living as gentlemen, and the discussions that they have are deep rooted, deep thoughts. They talk everything about everything from politics to religion to sports, fragrances, clothing, styles. And the best part is that we all know that not everybody is going to agree with everybody. Not everybody's going to see the way everybody sees it, which is great. But they also agree to disagree on topics. I mean, they talk about watches, they talk about hats. There's a gentleman on there, Mr. Randall Maston, who is actually the director of protocol and etiquette for the society. This man has taught me so much on hats, even to the point where he was so thoughtful that he sent me some nice hats. Didn't even ask for it. He just did it on his own because he knew I was learning, I was growing, I was interested. He sent me some fabulous hats. He has a marvelous collection of ties, and if you get a chance, go to any of our platform. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, the website www.gentlemanoffaith/riverside.com or www.beagentleman.org. Any of these sites, if you go on there and you look up the podcast from the Gentleman's Forum and the Gentleman of Faith Forum, and you'll see all the different videos and that talks about being gentlemen. But Randall Maston is on there, and me and him sat down. I interviewed him. We had a great conversation to a point where we're getting ready to do some more videos on ties, the different type of ties, and how to wear pocket squares, hats. I mean, this man has a wealth of knowledge. That's why he's the director of protocol and etiquette, and he is such a great individual. I love talking to him. I love sitting down, meeting with him. Me and him have become great friends, but I've learned so much from him. And, he's the one that has encouraged me in this. There are some, even the board of directors, you have Stephen Arnold, who is the CEO of the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. He is a wealth of knowledge, great man. We have Floor Bailey, who is the director of programs, and then we have Jason Rochester, who's the director of standards and conduct for society. I mean, we have Clinton Rasper. I'm bad with names, but he's the director of our media. All these men have come together on the board of directors. And let me tell you something about the board of directors. Nobody gets paid on the board of directors for the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. Nobody. Everything they do voluntarily. And they put a lot of time, they put a lot of effort. Clinton, the director of media communication, he has built the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen magazine, and it's published online, and great articles, great advertisements, a lot of testimonials on there. It is fabulous. If you get a chance, go to www.beagentleman.org and you'll see it on there. There's a link that takes you to it. It's a great magazine. I think they're doing it quarterly, but a lot of information on it. Like I said, the Side Ordinary Gentlemen, they have weekly live podcasts. And even during the week, you can get on there, you can see all kind of posts and all kind of comments. They're sharing ideas, they're sharing things. A bunch of great men that are on here. And this is what helped me get to where I'm at right now. This is what helped me get to the level of being a gentleman to where I'm at right now. And I'm telling you this because I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to be the best version of yourself. I want to encourage you to help us build a society. And I'm telling you, and the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, it's not just here in the United States. We have members in Africa, India, Italy, all over the world, Egypt. There are men from all over that are part of this society. And we are growing. Yes, we're a small number right now because they just do not allow anybody in. As I stated earlier, when you go on there, they're going to ask you a couple questions. It's not because they are a cult or they're here to police anybody. They just want men that are serious about wanting to be gentlemen. So they'll ask you a couple questions, and then when you get in there, they have some requirements that you have to make to remain active. And, it's not difficult. All it is just a matter of just getting on and being active and growing and learning. They have a classroom where they have some great videos, some tutorials, just being on the main site of the Site of Ordinary Gentlemen and reading these posts about men that are talking about styles, they're talking about jobs, they're talking about careers. Even on the podcast, if you go to this podcast, you'll meet some interesting men that are some that were prior in military, some that are working in sales, and just so many different aspects of being a gentleman. And you see them from all different aspects, all different races, all different colors, all different ethnic backgrounds, all different job occupations. They are all here in the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, and they are here to help build a society. They're here to encourage you. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed if you decide to become a, again, go to www.beagentleman.org and you'll see the website. At the top, it'll say join, or you can go to the internet, type in school, SKOOL.com. Under search, go to the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen, become a member. It's free. It's not open to everybody. They only want serious people. But when you get in there, you'll see what I'm talking about. We are going to get back into the art of speaking as gentlemen. We're going to get deeper into this, but I just felt led today to get on this podcast and to discuss this about the emergency that we're dealing with in our world today as far as gentlemen becoming extinct, becoming an endangered species, because we need to reestablish, we need to take control, and we need to build a foundation for the society that we can promote and encourage gentlemen that can step up into the roles that are becoming leaders in the world. And if we do this, we can make a difference. And I want to leave you with this because so many people think, well, I'm just one person, I cannot do this, or I'm out here alone by myself. I wrote this a while back, and I want to leave this with you for you to ponder on, to think about. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. This society is more than a school community or a social media app. What we have here is something that has become lost and extinct. The gentleman has become a rarefied among society. Those that are here are currently the modern day Knight Templars of this society. Each of us have made a decision when we joined the society to adhere to the Constitution and standards of the society. Yes, there are times when we travel this journey alone and often are faced with the enemy of the modern day stagnant opposition of what everybody considers the norm. This journey does require us to travel many roads alone. But one thing for sure, there is a place of solitude, a refuge for the modern day Knight, a place where he can come to rest, rejuvenate, train, and find his fellow comrade in arms. And this place is here. This society is where the knights of the age to go. This is where the knights of this age go to find the best blacksmith tailors for his armor in his area. This is where the modern day knight goes to find the map to locate his hidden treasures, clothing, and aesthetics. This is where he finds and shares his modern day and up to date battle strategies, classroom training, where the modern day knight comes to join his fellow comrades and brothers to discuss their travels, their wins, losses, and to encourage other follower brothers, the society live lounge meetings. Why is this important? Because the same way you were once a lost knight in a dark world, the same way you will one day grow and wish to be and join the knights that you see riding the streets of life. The same way you felt alone as a knight in a foreign land, there are many others like us out there. And some are wounded, and some have given up their fight, and some have surrendered to the enemy and have joined allegiance to the powers of the dress and the non caring attitude of this current world. But there are still some that are hiding, wearing a cloak of normality, trying to fit in and become unnoticed, wishing to be found and rescued from the dark, dismal life they have succumbed to in order to survive. Some have come here to the society to find refuge and solitude, only to become stagnant, non active, and would rather remain hidden only to have their names placed in the books. Some have found solitude, but lack of training, inactive, fear venturing out for fear of failure. And some have come to grow and have become mighty warriors and leaders and have taken the shield of society with them out to slay the ideology of the common man, having to return to these halls of justice, the society of ordinary gentlemen, victorious, with all the spoils of their venture, and share their stories of victories, and to encourage their fellow brothers to go battle and protect and defend this sacred place. So, where do we go from here? Well, this is up to each of you. You have chosen this battle. You have agreed to take upon the oath of the gentleman. You have gained access to a place that is open, that's not open to everyone, a place that requires acceptance, that holds standards and promotes the highest expectation of a gentleman. We provide the place of training, rest, camaraderie, and fellowship with other brothers. But the battle you fight are yours. We can supply the training, the encouragement, and the strategies to win, but you have to be willing to engage and train and fight to win. This is your time to rise, to take your place in society. Let your name be engraved in the halls of this society. Go fight, serve, and win and recruit. Go fight the good fight over the tyranny of the non caring world and win those battles by standing up and fight for what is right and defend those who cannot defend themselves. And finally, recruit. There are many others like you that are out there, some in plain sight, some hiding in plain sight, and some are wishing to one day become the knight that they see before them, you. So, gentlemen, I encourage you to be a part of this society of ordinary gentlemen. I encourage you to fight the good fight, be the best version of you. And I thank you for taking the time to watch or to listen to the broadcast. Again, you can join the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen by going to www.beinggentleman.org. You can share this video and others. Tell your friends that we're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, and the website www.gentlemanoffaith/riverside.com or www.beagentleman.org. And I look forward to seeing you in the society. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward for you attending more of these podcasts and becoming a part of these podcasts. If you would like to join this podcast and be a guest on the podcast, please send me an email to a.buntyn, that's a.buntyn, org, and let me know that you're interested in being on the show. And I would love to have you. I'd love to sit down and chat with you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Gentleman's Forum. So, on behalf of myself and the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen and our sponsor, Carolina Best, God bless you. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Not every conversation needs to be loud. Not every disagreement needs to become hostile. And not every man is interested in spectacle. The Society of Ordinary Gentlemen exists for those who believe that courtesy still matters, that restraint is a strength, and that how one conducts himself, especially when it is inconvenient, is a measure of character. This is not a platform for self-promotion. It is a place for thoughtful discussion, mutual respect, and personal accountability. The Society of Ordinary Gentlemen is an online community with the mission of cultivating modern gentlemen by teaching skills, habits, and mindsets that elevate personal style, communication, health, and lifestyle through community, courses, and mentorship. Membership is open to adults willing to uphold these standards.